waves beat into the ship so that it was now full. You see, using my sanctified imagination, I could imagine that when Mark wrote, "And there arose a great storm of wind," he was simply implying that before the storm came, there was peace out on the sea. The Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee is the sea that Jesus and his disciples were on. If you don't mind, can I give you a little bit of background? The Sea of Galilee is relatively small. It's 680 feet below sea level, and around it there are lots of hills and mountains. And because of the placement of the sea, the conditions were very unpredictable and unstable. Yeah, and in a matter of seconds, the Sea of Galilee can turn from a peaceful and tranquil place to a very dangerous and lethal place. And in a matter of seconds, everything can turn around. You must know that you may be having a good life right now. You may be living the good life, but know that trouble is on the way. Big Mama said it like this: if you're not in one, you're on your way into one, and you're just getting out of another one, ready to go into another one. You see, I could picture it right now, Pastor. I can picture it. The disciples on a boat. I see them just chilling and relaxing after a long day of work, just enjoying the fresh air, and all of a sudden, a storm arose. All of a sudden, they weren't expecting it, they weren't looking for it, but all of a sudden it just shows up. Is there anybody here that can admit that when everything is going well, something happens? As soon as I begin to get my life together, something happens. As soon as the sun begins to shine, something begins to happen. As soon as it seemed like I'm getting myself together, as soon as it seemed like everything is turning around for my good, the devil gives me more hell on top of the trouble that he has already been giving me. Well, look, let me just go on heaven's record and say that trouble is not going to send you an email. It's not going to send you a fax. It's not going to send you a text message. Neither is it going to make a phone call. Trouble is going to show up. There isn't a nice man in a little white suit telling you that a storm is on the way. But is there anybody here that knows that storm will catch you off guard? There's someone here that knows that no matter how hard I try to detour or instruct trouble, it has a way of showing up at my doorstep. But you have to know, as Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians 4:8-9, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. No matter how hard life gets, Jesus will be right there to hold you and rock you in his arms. No matter how hard life gets, he will always be there for you. Even though sometimes you may feel like you are alone, know that, lo, he is with you always, even into the ends of the world. I wish I was talking to somebody in here. You have to know that sometimes we're going to feel like we're alone, but you are not alone. Okay, I don't think y'all believe me. Let me bring in a witness. See, here we have Jesus up on the cross. He got nails in his hands and nails in his feet, and they've been whooping him all night long. They whooped him, y'all. Do y'all know he whooped them? They whooped him, and he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. He said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? I don't know about y'all, but when I read that, I was a little bit confused. I said, here we have the Son of God, God in the flesh. How can you leave yourself? It kind of confused me. But then I rolled down a few more verses, and then Jesus said, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. You see, he got it together and realized that he wasn't on his own. But that was a message for you that sometimes you're going to feel like you are alone. You're going to feel like you are alone. But know that the Lord is your shepherd, and you shall not want. All things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I'm moving. The first point, the first thing that we see in this passage is that, number one, the disciples came across an unexpected storm. Why don't you look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, an unexpected storm? You see, at this very moment when the storm came upon the disciples, their initial reaction was to become fearful and frightful. Fearful and frightful. At this very moment, they reminded me, as well as me, of others, that sometimes when we go through things and it catches us off guard, our initial reaction is to become scared. Our initial reaction is to become fearful. Our initial reaction is to try to run away from the problem. But I just came today to let you know that instead of having fear, you should have faith. You see, I have a little brother, y'all. I have a little brother back in Chicago. And when we were little, we always played in the basement. And one day I was going upstairs, and I turned off the light because the TV was on, and he was playing. And I started walking up, and he stopped me. And I said, what's going on? Why are you stopping me? I said, you should be old enough to stay downstairs by yourself. But he said, I feel safe when you are with me. I said that to say this. There are some things that you are not willing to go through unless you know that God is right there with you. You see here at this very moment, Jesus was asleep on the pillow. Y'all don't believe me? Look at verse 38. It says, and he was in the hinder part asleep on the pillow. You see, the disciples, they got scared. They didn't know what to do. They felt like Jesus was leaving them. They felt like Jesus was allowing them to die. They felt alone. They felt forsaken. But the Spirit of God is telling me here today that there's somebody who think that God has left you stranded. There's somebody who think that God has forgotten about your situation. There's somebody who think that God is leaving you to die. But I just came today to tell you that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Why? Because thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. You have to have faith and trust in the Lord, because if you're not careful, the devil will use fear to take over your mind and body. Fear is something that's very powerful. Fear is something that you just should not mess with. What fear does is give you a defeatist attitude instead of a victorious attitude. What fear does is have you thinking the worst possible circumstances, and in any situation you come from it, as soon as something happens, you think the worst. You don't think that God can bring me out. You don't think that he's gonna do it, but you think that he has left you. You think that he has left you all alone. I came today to tell you that you can't believe what the devil is telling you, because if you're saying I'm not going to make it, if you're saying my body not going to be healed, this marriage is a failure, it's not going to work anymore, I can't make this D into a B by the end of the semester, I'm too late to turn my life around, I can't beat this peer pressure because it's just too much, then the Bible lets us know that's exactly what's going to happen. Y'all don't believe me. Proverbs 23:7 says, so a man thinketh, so is he. That's not all. Proverbs 19:21 says, death and life are in the power of... Pastor, you preaching here. You teaching. You preaching and teaching. But you have to be able to say, you have to get past it. Because if you're not careful, you will be inviting everybody and their mama to your pity party. You'll be walking around sad. You'll be listening to the blues. You'll come to church sad and depressed. You'll have gin in one hand and Luther Vandross in the other if you're not careful. But you have to be able to say, I will lift mine eyes into the hills from which cometh my help. The Lord is my rock and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.